Well, the opening sequence, we decided, it should begin on another planet. We had no money. I mean, the film was pretty low budgeted movie for a Hollywood movie.
The set was a piece of plywood. It was relatively small. I think it was 28 inches wide, about 24 inches deep. There was a landscape that was integrated into the plywood. It was actually consisting of ground-up volcanic rock to make this kind of sandy, desert-looking area. And then the foreground was the same volcanic rock, but it was in big chunks and had a look of forced perspective. So at least from one angle, with a very wide lens, it would look like the set was very, very large. The other component was the background of stars and planets, and that consisted of a plexiglass sheet that was painted with deep black, and then holes were just pecked out of it to give you the illusion of stars. And then there was a sun that was kind of modeled and looked like it was, had a bad case of measles. And that was supposed to be the sun that was going to doom this planet and cause these spores to go and try to find a better home.
With the guys who were doing special effects down in LA, I was trying to figure out how to get something that would float from one planet to another.
While I was doing the set, I was also trying to accumulate all these different chemicals that you could stick into water. And so I would go to the local drugstore and just get bags full of lip gloss, finger paint, and gels and whatever. When Phil came down, he looked at the set and he said, well, that's pretty promising. Where's my creatures? And he was actually I think he was pretty disturbed, but he needed to see the creatures. And we didn't have anything.
I found in an art store a big bottle of gelatinous slime, really. I think it cost $10.
When you initially put it into water, it was very much transparent. It was almost invisible. So if you let it sit a couple of seconds, like 30 seconds, it would develop this beautiful kind of a whitish film, and all of a sudden turn into something that looked very organic.
And then, we basically experimented by reversing motions, dropping it through water, showing it rise off a created background of a planet.
The aerial sequence required the point of view of the spores as they were falling down through clouds into San Francisco. The idea was to do very nice, smooth zooms, kind of like initially kind of slow and then pop as you went all the way in.
It was the kind of approach that I really took through when I did a film a few years later called The Right Stuff, for the airplanes flying and stuff. I really believed sort of in, organic effects in a way, and effects that could be jerry-rigged, that would feel more human, that had a human touch rather than a mechanical touch.
The last part was, there's a sequence of the pods as they fell upon leaves. And in those sequences, you could see a blob of this gel material. And out of the blob, you could see little tendrils start creeping out. So we immediately knew something was going on. And then the next shot was these blobs now with tendrils evolved into the pods. And then the pods sprouted small flowers. All of the sequences involving the pods either flowering or sprouting tendrils were all shot in reverse. It amounted to pulling nylon threads through the surface of the leaf and pulling back these little tendrils through the blob, or in the case of the flower petals were made out of latex. They were cast latex, and we just pulled them gently back into the pod. So that's kind of the story of how that whole sequence evolved from just like, what are we going to do? How are you going to simulate this with very little budget and very little time, into go do it.